Welcome to Fast Keto. I'm your host, Ketogenic Girl. Did you know that your body can actually be either a sugar burner or a fat burner? On this podcast, we talk all about how to make your body a fat-burning, fat-fueled machine and engaging your full metabolic flexibility. I'm Vanessa Spina. I am a sport nutrition specialist, a biomedical science student at U of T, and I am the author of the best-selling cookbook Keto Essentials, available on Amazon, and creator of the Ketogenic Girl Challenge program. And I am obsessed with optimizing our health through all these different biohacks, ketogenesis, intermittent fasting, all of these amazing tools that center around making the body a fat-adapted, fat-fueled machine. With this in mind, I present interviews to you with biomedical scientists, physicians, and people from all around the world who have experienced remarkable results from following a low-carb or ketogenic diet and getting their body into ketogenesis. So I hope you guys enjoyed these interviews with this goal in mind. Hey guys, welcome back to Fast Keto. Thank you so much for being here. This is a special bonus episode that I'm putting out this week, and our special guest is Robin Switzer from Keto Con, and she's talking all about her personal journey through keto to carnivore and all about everything you can expect from Keto Con 2020. It was so much fun to just have a fun chat with Robin about the holidays coming up, how we're both anticipating doing the holidays with a keto carnivore approach, and just talking a little bit more about how carnivore and doing zero carb has really changed her life in the past year. We talk a lot about food freedom and how much peace we've both experienced from trying out carnivore for ourselves. And it's a really fun episode. I really enjoy everything that Robin had to share and all the benefits that she's seen from trying this out, and also getting to talk about Keto Con 2020 and all the amazing things they're putting together. I can't wait to be there already, and it's only December, but June is a-coming. So I hope you guys enjoy this wonderful episode with Robin Switzer. Robin, welcome back to Fast Keto. It's so nice to have you back here again.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to talk to you again.
We were just chatting a little bit before starting about the holidays. It's on everybody's mind, and we were talking about going home for the holidays and how fun and exciting that is, but also being carnivore, what it'll be like navigating that sort of with our families. And I think it's a really interesting topic. For anyone who's doing keto, doing carnivore, and probably has some maybe anxiousness or some kind of, thoughts about what it'll be like to be around their families. And I know I always tell people what they're at, if they're at big social gatherings, if you don't make it a big thing, then other people won't. If you just don't make it a topic, if you don't bring it up and you don't announce it like, hey everyone, I'm doing keto or I'm doing this or I'm fat, you don't bring it up, and you just kind of eat what's there, and you just focus on people and connecting and making conversation aside from that. But you brought up this great point that people will bring it up sometimes for you, even if you don't.
It's so true.
I think it's interesting just having that come up. And I was telling you how I kind of like just sidestep it and change the subject to something else, is find it the easiest way to kind of deal with it and kind of minimize it, because it shouldn't be something that, you have to address or talk about, or that everyone has to listen in on and hear about and that kind of thing.
I agree 100%. My experience has been that what Robin eats has been such a central point of conversation throughout the years. And I think when I was younger, I probably made it that way because I was kind of carrying a keto flag or a low carb flag in the early days. And so not literally, of course, just figuratively. So I kind of made it part of the conversation. So now, as I was sharing with you earlier, when I am together with all of my family, it's usually my mother that brings it up. So I do not talk about what I eat and what I do with family outside of this community. I don't make it an issue. I just do what I do. But when I'm with family, and even if I don't bring it up, somehow or another, my mother will always throw a comment in there like, "Oh, well, don't give that to Robin. She won't eat that," or "What are you eating this right now?" or that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yes.
So that used to be a trigger for me. It
Mhm.
used to be an emotional trigger, and I would end up white knuckling it through the entire gathering and really not enjoying being around my family because it was a challenge to not eat what everyone else was eating. But over the past few years, I've kind of evolved out of that mindset. And
Yes.
now, if someone does bring it up, I do the exact same thing you do. I change the subject.
Yeah.
I either pretend like I didn't hear the question,
Yeah.
or I change the subject to something else and turn around and ask the person who's kind of called me out on what I'm eating a question.
Yeah.
But when you and I were talking earlier, I started thinking about, if all I was eating all day was apple pie, or some sort of dessert, no one would even bat an eyelash at what's Robin eating. But because I'm not, I think the dynamics start to change, and your family almost intuitively knows they shouldn't be eating what they're eating. So they kind of put you on the spot, to call the
Mm.
attention to you rather than actually look at what they're doing. And then sometimes they just simply do not understand what they're doing.
Right. Yeah, I think that there's definitely a big component in that. But it's interesting, like you were saying, because I remember when I was vegetarian, no one really questioned that. They were just like, okay, I understand that. I understand which box I can put you into. You're vegetarian. And I get that. I understand the parameters of it. But if you're keto, especially, 5, 6 years ago, people still didn't understand it. So there's probably difficulty in, understanding or putting you in that box because you don't
Mhm.
really understand what it is. But people now, there's been a huge, huge shift in sort of awareness about low carb and keto and even carnivore. So people understand it
Right.
a lot better so they can kind of do that with it. But there's still probably a lot of questions. But I think I used to feel a lot more stress around the holidays. I was like, especially when I first started keto, I was like, how am I going to make, I got to make sure I have a erythritol to make keto treats. And I got to make sure, I make the same sides as everyone else, except I make them keto versions of
Yeah.
everything. And this is probably the time I'm the most relaxed ever about it because I know there's going to be a big turkey and I know that maybe I'll probably get some beef or something, and that's not going to be my focus. Like I know that I'll eat and I'll be, to satiety, and that my main focus will just be on everyone else and on connecting with them. And it's probably the least stressed I've ever been about like knowing that I'm going to be out of my home, traveling for a couple weeks, out of my kitchen, out of everything,
Hmm.
and like I feel really, really confident and good about it and ready to sidestep all those questions.
Right. I have to agree with you. I feel exactly the same way. I did not feel this way last year, this
Mm.
time, because last year, this time, I was still worrying about the keto-fied versions of everything.
Mhm.
But you know, the funny thing is that I can pretty much get away with any holiday, especially. So my family is Jewish, and so we celebrate all the Jewish holidays. And one of
Mhm.
the staples of many of the Jewish holidays is chopped liver. So I have
Oh.
learned how to make liver pate and different dishes with like organ meats and liver, uh, and I bring that along.
Yeah,
So everyone expects it anyway, and
right.
then I have something there. But like you said, there's typically going to be turkey, or there's typically going to be some sort of red meat,
Yes.
uh, and then I just sidestep the questions, like you said. So I really don't. Very little planning goes into this for me now.
Yeah, it's great. I my For New Year's Day, there was a list circulated around everything that our different family members are bringing to the event, and they put me down for pate, and I was like, oh, I know what I'm gonna be making. Some liver pate, maybe some bacon pate, and I'll make a couple versions, and it's great. I'm really glad I got selected for that and not for all the other things. But well, that's really, it's so exciting that the holidays are just around the corner. I know you've been really busy getting everything ready for Keto Con, and we're going to talk about that and what everyone can expect from Keto Con 2020. But I'd love to just get into a little bit more about you and your story, and your recent kind of adventures into carnivore, and what it's done for you. I'd love to hear more about it.
Sure. And it's funny that you use the word adventure because it has certainly been an adventure. And I really like the positive spin on that. So it was very early in the year this year, very early January, and I had been following a lot of different carnivore accounts on Instagram and YouTube, and trying to learn as much as I could about the protocol itself and what it really meant from a health perspective. And I've always been on the fringes when it comes to my dietary preferences. I've always been willing to try new things to see what works best for me. And I had been doing keto for quite a long time. Um, and prior to that, I had been doing low carb. So this dates back all the way to probably around 2009 when I started doing low carb. And then eventually I transitioned to keto. So in January of this year, I was looking at um, the progress that I had made, the improvement in my health, and I still had, in my eyes, a long way to go. And there were still things that I was having issues with. So I still was having issues with like hyper palatable foods. So anything like highly seasoned or anything sweetened. And those were triggers for me. And it was almost like um, they would, that something clicked in my brain where I would lose my full button. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there was no amount of sweetened keto desserts that would, like I lost my self control anytime I had anything like that. And so I thought, maybe it's time that I just cut those things out for a while. And so what I did was I literally just cut everything except for animal products and coffee out of my diet. And at the time, I thought I'm just going to do it for 30 days and see how I feel. But at the end of the 30 days, I was like, I feel a lot better. And I really didn't think I had given it enough time to really have permanent benefits. And I really didn't see any reason why adding those foods back in would improve my experience. So I just kept on going.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in January of this year. So it's been almost a year that I've been doing this. And my experience, being an adventurer is that um, I, I have a very strong um, resistance to change. I'm terrible. And so anytime I start to see improvement, all of a sudden there's like my alter ego will come in and say, well, now you can go back to doing this, or I wonder if you could have that. And every single time I felt horrible. So I just kept on moving along. And my experience now is that I don't, like we were talking about the holidays is really no different for me than any other day because I already know what I'm going to be eating or not eating. And that that translates to me as like food freedom. It's I am no longer obsessed with what I'm going to eat, when I'm going to eat, how I'm going to cook it. Uh, I spend no time in the grocery store except for like to buy eggs. Occasionally, I'll buy meat at the grocery store, but I would say, excuse me, at least 90% of the meat that I eat, I buy from either Butcher Box or U.S. Wellness Meats, and um, and that's been my experience. So if someone were to ask me today, what has this transition done for you? It's really given me freedom from food obsession. That's been the main thing. Uh, and that's a mental, emotional mindset that I haven't had since I was probably 10 years old. So that in itself is huge. But the other side is my hormonal balancing, my mental and emotional mindset just kind of leveling out. So I don't experience the super high highs and the super low lows that I used to experience prior to doing this. Um, I have to say that those things did improve when I started doing low carb and when I started doing keto, but they never really got to where they are today, where I live a much more balanced life, both physically and emotionally. So I would say that between the food freedom and just mental clarity and emotional well being, those things all together uh, are worth their weight in gold. And even if I hadn't improved any weight or body composition, I would still continue to do this just for those things.
I almost started tearing up when you said that. Uh, being 10 years old, because it was the same for me. I became a sugar and candy addict at such a young age
Hmm.
that the last time I can think back that I felt this kind of food freedom is, it's like a very, very blurry, vague, memories, but a lot of my memories and first memories were associated with some of those foods. They were stimulating my brain so much and creating such emotional and neuronal effects that, it's really hard to almost think back. But I
Hmm.
do know that there was a time when my life didn't revolve around food, and that I feel like I've fully reclaimed it, and it's been a long time.
Yeah, yeah. Vanessa, I really wish that I had discovered this much sooner. It's sad to think that I've spent more than 40 years, excuse me, just wrapped up in this obsession.
Hmm.
I was telling someone that recently that, there are parts of me that are grateful for this experience because I really turned an obsession into a passion or
Mm.
a calling. So in that way, I can be grateful for it. But I think I've shared with you before. I mean, I started my food obsession really kind of um, came about at around the same time that I became very body conscious,
Hmm.
and that's like around 11 years old. And I
Yeah.
swear to you, if you name a diet, I guarantee you I had tried it. And at the time, it wasn't about the emotional or physical or the emotional or mental part of extra weight or hormones or anything like that. It was really about aesthetics. I was concerned about the fact that I thought I was too fat.
Hmm.
So I went from, I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard of any of these. I did the grapefruit diet. I did the cabbage soup diet. I did every branded diet out there. Um,
I've done them
Without
all too.
exaggeration. I was a raw foodist. I was a vegetarian. I was a
Yeah.
fruitarian. I took pills. I drank magic potions. I drank so much diet soda that it's a miracle that I even have a gut lining now.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I've had shots. I mean, pills, all kinds of stuff, but nothing really what was happening with me. So at the time, I didn't realize that it was so much was tied to hormones
Yeah.
and gut health, of course. But the only thing I saw was extra weight. And at 11 years old, to live through, the ups and downs of trying to find the solution to that, um, it's tough. And so at my age now, I am just so relieved to not have to deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
So all of the symptoms that I had and all of the health complications that I had, I had super high A1C, I had PCOS, I had breast cysts, I had like horrendous hormonal cycles. And at one time, one of my doctors wanted me to take birth control pills to just to calm things down, which I refused. So my health in my early years was, even though no one really thought it was that serious. I mean, no one really addressed any of this with me. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. So I think that I'm really lucky to have found low carb and have been willing to keep doing different things, even though at the time I always thought it was about the weight. Um, I guess I should just be grateful for my stubbornness. I just kept
Yeah.
on trying, new things until I found something that worked.
I notice a lot of us have that quality in common. Maria Emmerich always says she's a stubborn German girl. I'm like, yep, I just never gave up hope that,
Right.
there was life. I knew that there was hope somewhere out there and that one day I would find it.
Hmm.
I would find that solution. But to your point, it all goes back to hormonal imbalance. And that starts as soon as insulin starts getting out of balance, right? And that starts with eating foods that put those hormones and put that insulin out of balance in the body, and you have this domino or cascade effect that starts to affect all the other hormones. So you're absolutely right that's all that hormonal dysregulation. It all comes from that first one, which is the insulin,
Hmm.
and becoming throwing the insulin sensitivity out of balance kind of affects all the other ones.
Right.
It's really amazing how carnivore helps so much with restoring that balance and everything. So, did you find you mentioned that you also had some other good results from it? I mean, obviously, I think I feel the exact same way as you. Food freedom is the only one that is worth totally priceless. Like that peace of mind, everything is probably the thing that I'm the most thankful for. But what were some of the other benefits you mentioned? You had some body composition benefits and changes as well. What else have
Hmm.
you noticed since I guess last January?
Um, so the tendency to overeat has gone away for me. So when when I was doing keto, I could pack away a lot of food, and I I I am not very good at tracking. So I would start tracking on an app, and then a couple of days later, I would be like, "Uh oh, I didn't track yesterday," and so I'm not very good at keeping up that habit.
Mm-hmm.
So what I found was with carnivore that I really didn't have to do that. So I would eat when I was hungry, and I'm pretty sure because of the fat content in the meat, or I would eat fatty seafood. Uh, I really felt I was able to recognize being full as opposed to just not like that full button not working.
Yes.
So that's been huge. The other thing is just my energy levels. So I I work a pretty stressful job, and I'm pretty obsessed with that job. So uh, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to perform, but I'm able to manage all of that pretty easily. And so that balance of like stress hormones doing carnivore has helped me quite a bit.
Mm.
So I find that that helps me also. Now, I don't add a lot of added fat to my food. So I think if I looked at the macros of what I eat, I don't think that what I eat would be really considered keto, like a keto protocol. Although I am in ketosis, so I think that my body continues to utilize my stored body fat. Um, so, so that's a good thing, like not having to worry about tracking at all, not having to worry about macros. I really enjoy that. I mean, I guess that probably goes along with the food freedom, just not
Mm-hmm.
having to worry about it. There's so much extra time in the day to get other things done when you're not obsessing about that.
Yes. Absolutely. And
Uh, let's see what else. My skin. I've noticed that my skin is improving. So the texture of my skin and the elasticity of my skin. So as you know, I'm over 50, and so uh, in my early 50s, I could see those changes happening in my skin. It didn't really matter what I ate. I was aging, but the eating like a strictly animal products type of diet, along with the fasting, has really improved my skin. So, and the fasting part was hard for me, but I do see huge improvements. And so between my energy levels, being able to keep up with people who are much younger than me and not really feeling my age at all, those are all huge improvements for me.
Hey guys, just taking a really quick break to talk about the 28-day Ketogenic Girl Challenge. If you're interested in doing a ketogenic diet for yourself, it's a great place to start. I teach you everything about how to follow a keto diet to get yourself into nutritional ketosis, and it includes 28 days of meal plans. It comes with weekly shopping lists, how to interpret results, how to test yourself, a complete guide to getting started on keto. If you've been keto for a while and you're just not getting the results that you want to in terms of your health or fat loss, or you are brand new to keto, the 20-day challenge is a great option because it also comes with my free coaching and support in our members Facebook group, and you can post any questions that you have about the meal plans, about keto, and I am there supporting you. We have an amazing community in our group. I like to call it the happiest place on earth because everybody in there is so excited about following keto, about having found something that really works well for them. And everyone in there is just so kind, caring, generous, and supportive. And it's a really fun place to be and hang out. So if you'd like more info on it, you can find it at ketogenicgirl.com, and it's the 28-day Ketogenic Girl Challenge. Yeah, I was going to say, I always think you're sort of early 40s, but that's just because you're so energetic and vivacious, I would say. But that's I'm sure now it's only going to continue to improve in all those ways. In your skin, having the skin benefits and hair and nails is such a wonderful part of it.
Yes.
And so you had some body composition changes, or so people message me constantly about going carnivore for weight loss, and I'm like, it shouldn't be the primary aim.
Yeah.
But it's a nice like bonus or side effect if you have body composition changes, for sure.
Yeah, so I've had some body composition changes, but honestly, this past year, I have been dealing with like phase of life changes. So the fact that I got through all of this after a year with no hormones and no special supplements uh, is a huge accomplishment in comparison to other women my age. So yes, I'm over 50, but the truth is I'm 57. So um, I I believe that following a carnivore diet has helped me avoid the typical menopause body weight gain. So while my composition hasn't changed as much as I would like it to, um, I do believe that I am ahead of the game doing this. And really had to learn patience with it because, like you said, the reason for doing this shouldn't be weight loss. Uh, but I do think that a lot of people come to this for that reason, come to this protocol for that reason. And what I've seen, my experience has been is that people younger than I am have uh, more or faster physical proof that what they're doing is working. I've had to be patient to heal the internal things first and learn what really works for me in order to have any body composition changes. The other hurdle has been, while I stay really active from a professional perspective, from a like getting in the gym and all of that perspective, I haven't done a very good job of that this year. So that's one of my goals for next year. So where you were talking about earlier when you said that things will continue to improve over time. So that's really my goal for next year. So Next year, I will turn 58. I can't even believe I'm saying that number out loud. But so for 2020, I am going to be doing a lot more exercise, getting much more active when I'm not working, physically active. And I have no doubt that the composition changes that I really wanted to see will come, especially since I've been started incorporating more fasting.
Yeah, you get all that growth hormone and also just all the protein that you're eating. I've heard a lot of women say that they're able to finally really build muscle well and consistently,
Mhm.
when really optimizing that protein intake. So that's really neat. So what is an average sort of standard day for you like, and how has it changed from what you were doing before? Has it changed at all in the past year, or has it been pretty similar?
It's changed quite a bit in the past year. So when I first started in January, I was eating 3 meals a day. I was I was eating a lot of meat. I was eating probably too much, but I would say I was eating somewhere between 10 and 16 ounces of meat at each meal. And so when I was hungry, I would eat. When I wasn't hungry, I wouldn't. I wasn't doing very much fasting. As hard as I tried, I just couldn't get through the mental part of it. And then what has happened over the course of the past year is I normally eat sometime or between 10 and 12 a.m. and then again, if I eat again before 3 p.m. and then I fast until the next day.
Wow,
So
great.
that's been a slow transition for me, but it is now something that I do on a daily basis, and I find that this works really well for me.
Hmm.
I have tried a few times to do extended fasts. I don't my mind usually takes control, and by 24 hours I've had it. So I'm working on that as well. I'd like to start doing a few extended fasts a couple times a month because I think that will help me as well. And it's going to be interesting to see this year with the increased resistance training and weight training and all the other things that I have planned for this year. It's going to be interesting to see how much muscle I can build because this is the phase of life where it becomes difficult for women to build muscle. And so my goal is to maintain my current muscle. And if I can build more, it's going to be awesome. But if I can't, I just want to make sure I maintain what I have. So I
Yeah,
don't want to go into the next 10 years of my life losing muscle. So that's where I think it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be tracking all of this by doing body scans and with blood work to see how things improve over the year, and also just to understand, my body weight and my fitness level, my
that's really that was
cardiovascular level.
that was going to be my next question, is if you were tracking with the body scan. So that's really, really cool. Well, that's so exciting, and it's also my goal for the next year is to, and all the coming years is just to keep maintaining and adding more muscle. And one thing I've noticed is I have more inclination towards moving. I crave movement a lot more, and I want to work out and do those things. And I just enjoying the experience of being in my body rather than it being sort of a forced thing, that's not so enjoyable. So
Hmm.
it's nice to be lined up with all that.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, well, I've noticed I want to talk a bit about Keto Con and all the things that people can expect from Keto Con 2020, but what I love is there's I've seen the lineup of speakers. It's absolutely fantastic, and I noticed, there's a lot of carnivore speakers. I loved seeing those speakers there last year, and they were the ones I was the most excited to see, and there's just a fantastic lineup, and it looks like you guys have got a lot of carnivore speakers again this year.
Thank you. I am really trying hard to make sure that we provide a well-rounded group of speakers that can bring information from all different sides of improved health. And so I think what you'll find is a good blend of people who are addressing the ketogenic diet or ketosis as a nutritional protocol and also as a health marker improvement protocol. You'll find that type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes will be addressed. You'll find that weight loss is addressed, and cardiovascular disease and mental health, brain health, and then the personal stories of people who have improved their health through following a ketogenic protocol, regardless of whether it's low carb or or carnivore or anything in between. So I'm also trying really hard to make sure that we eliminate some of the polarized discussions that are happening within our community. So trying not to have um, dogma that says that you have to do this in order to be keto. You have to be following A, B, and C in order to be keto. Because everybody who's coming into this space is coming into this space because they are interested in improving their health. They're interested in addressing health issues that they're experiencing. And what works for me may not be the best thing for someone else. And even though I have seen a really large percentage of this community transitioning over time to a more type of an elimination protocol. So over time, they see what works and what doesn't. They try new things, and then eventually they find what the sweet spot is for them. Some of those people may not need to follow a strict carnivore protocol or want to. So there has to be something that makes this community all inclusive for everybody who wants to improve their health. And so in the back of my mind, I'm thinking as long as you are removing sugars and grains from your diet, then you're going to experience improved health. And where that leads you is up to you as an individual.
Mm.
So for Keto Con, yeah, we're really excited about this. So this will be year 4 for us, as you
Wow.
know, and we are planning for 138 exhibitors. We have 55 speakers, and we'll probably cap ticket sales at 4,000 people. Last year, we had about 3,500 people there, and it started to get a little tight in the exhibitor hall and in the keynote stage. So we want to cap it at 4,000 so that the experience for the attendees remains a positive one. And we have so many things happening over the course of the weekend this year between we have an entrepreneur mastermind session that happens on Saturday morning. We are doing functional movement and body weight classes on Friday and Saturday morning. We'll have a fitness panel, a medical panel, and a stories panel, as you've experienced. The Carnivore cast will be at Keto Con this year, and they'll be doing a live recording of podcast there. Million Pound Mission will be there as well. That's Adam Scheibel, and he'll be doing live recordings of his podcasts. We have cooking demos that are this year will be taking place on the keynote stage, which will give a lot more people access to those presentations. We have cooking demos going on in the Keto Evangelist booth as well, and uh, we there's going to be stuff going on at any given time, every day, all day. So as you've experienced, we have the keynote stage. We have 2 breakout rooms that are running at the same time upstairs and a VIP breakout room that runs upstairs. So literally 4 stages running from about 10 o'clock in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon every day.
That's
So just a
amazing.
lot happening. So we're super excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's three full days, and yet you still feel like all day long you're kind of negotiating between what to choose next, because there's so many fun things going on. And I've been to a lot of events where there's huge lulls in the day, especially even just ones that are 2 days where you just end up kind of wandering around and, like, I don't know, at KetoCon, I always feel like I'm just going from one thing That's why I always call it the Keto Disneyland for adults. It's just so much fun, and you guys do such a great job of having all these interactive things, and there's all these delicious treats and foods and things to sample, and like, you're just buzzing off of all that energy, and
Right.
I'm so excited to be there again.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The one of the hurdles that we've had with all those delicious treats you mentioned is we do have a banned ingredient list, and we've been very cognizant of what we feel is beneficial or acceptable within this protocol. And I've had questions from a lot of people about the fact that there's like so many different treats. And the truth of the matter is that none of these treat foods anyway are things that we are signing off on as something you would use on a daily basis. So this is a way for the audience to see the new products on the market, to sample the new products on the market. And these are things that they can incorporate into their lifestyle if it's a good fit for them. So our goal is to bring not only food product manufacturers, but also technology providers and software providers and exercise equipment and anything in between, so that we're developing a healthy lifestyle that all of these things can play a part in.
Yeah,
And
but I have
that's
to
really the
say,
goal.
not to cut you off, but for me last year, I brought my husband for the first time, and he's not keto. I mean, he is still very much carb and sugar. I would say
Mhm.
he's wanting to go low carb and keto, but it's very difficult for him. So, we're walking around there, and I'm able to sample like the Peterson's meats, and I hit up the Epic, all the pork rinds and the meat stuff. That's the stuff I've always just enjoyed and gotten every time I go. But for Pete, he's able to try the keto versions of things, and he's still at that stage where, there was like this one monk fruit supplier there, and they had samples for him, and he's like, "Oh, well, maybe, I could try swapping this in my coffee instead of doing, the Starbucks
Sure.
hot chocolate that I get." So it can meet people at wherever they are, and I'm sure there
Yeah.
are other people like Pete who are there who are brand new to it, and they don't wanna just only eat meat, like, they still need to find different options for them, so it kinda meets you wherever you are.
Mhm. Thank you for saying that. I mean, that's really the goal. So we're trying to bring as much variety to the audience as we can. I
Mm.
think that the monk fruit company that you're talking about is Lakanto.
Yes, yeah, we brought back some of their stuff because my husband loves his, like, mocha, hot chocolate coffee, and he always gets it, from places where it's very sugary, and he's been cutting down, cutting down, cutting down on how many, pumps of the syrup they put in it. But then this is like the next, step for him. So it was fun and exciting for him to be opened up to this whole world. And he never liked stevia or erythritol, and he liked this one. So it's yeah, I think there's got to be options for people who are bringing their family or relatives who are brand new. And I always say I never would have tried keto if they didn't have these alternatives with these foods. I would have said, "There's no way." Can you imagine going from standard American to carnivore? Like, it would be too intimidating. You'd just say, "There's no way I could ever be that strong or give up all those things." But it's a process, as you know in your own journey.
Hmm. Absolutely. It is definitely a process.
Yeah, well, it sounds so thrilling. I always I really, really look forward to Keto Con so much throughout the year, and really excited. What can people get their tickets now, and what can they look for? Are there still any sort of discounts or early discounts available?
There are. We have the 3-day ticket is currently on sale. It's
Okay.
the 3-day ticket is on sale for $200. And that ticket price will remain until December 31st. Actually, on January 1st, the tickets go up to 250. and then they'll go up again in April to 300, and then they'll stay there. So if anyone's considering going, they can get either a 3-day ticket or a 1-day ticket. Just go to our website, ketocon.org. There's a lot of information about what's happening over the weekend on our website as well. So there's a very obvious get tickets button on the homepage, so they can go directly to our Eventbrite platform so that they can purchase tickets. The tickets will also, for the Entrepreneur Mastermind session, are there. The tickets for the exercise class are there. And we do not have a specific exhibitor hall only ticket. Reason being is because the Palmer Event Center is designed in a way that we have everything all in one room. So in future Keto Cons, we may have just an exhibitor pass, but at this time we don't. So all of that information regarding tickets can be found on our website. And then there are a couple of other things for people to look at on our website. One is the speakers. So there's a tab on the menu options on our website for speakers, and they can see who all of the speakers are, what their topics will be, what panels they'll be speaking on, and so forth, where your beautiful picture is listed. And and then they can also look at the exhibitor showcase, and they can see who has signed up to exhibit at KetoCon, so what companies will be there. And that will continue to grow as we get closer and closer to the event. We are just about halfway sold out.
Wow.
And sponsorship. So regular visits to the website will keep everybody up to date. The other thing that people can do on the website is, if they don't want to continue going back, is to sign up for email updates, because we will be providing updates on when there's ticket price increases, when there's speakers added or exhibitors added, and different things that are happening about regarding the event will be there as well via email. And the other thing is, we worked with a company to help us negotiate discounted hotel room rates in downtown Austin. So if on our website for attendees, there is a lodging tab, and if they go there, they will find discounted hotels in the city of Austin, the downtown area.
That's perfect. Wow, I can't wait already. And it's great that you have this sale on, because that makes a great Christmas gift for anyone that you know who loves keto and all this stuff, or a gift for yourself for Christmas. It's a perfect time to do that. And it's just so great to see it keep growing and see you guys keep innovating all the time with it. And I can't wait. I can't wait to be there. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing about your story today, Robin.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's nice to talk about something other than, the standard facts about KetoCon. I like talking about it. Helps me recognize the journey and the progress that I've made when I actually talk about it out loud.
Yeah, my favorite part was when you said you turned an obsession into a passion. It's so true.
Yeah, that just happened by accident, really. I mean, I had been struggling for such a long time, and once I went keto and was part of all of these different Facebook groups and so forth related to keto, it just so happened that Brian Williamson, who started Keto Evangelist, had posted something in one of the groups about needing a project manager. And I, at the time, was working for a global bank, and I was running a very large team of salespeople in the field of treasury management. And I was burned out, but it was all I had done for a very long time. And I had always had an interest in health and wellness, but I really didn't understand how I could transition my skill set into doing something else. When I saw the post that he did about project managers, program managers, I thought, what the hell? I had been listening to his podcast for a long time. He seemed like a likable person. So I thought, well, I'm just going to talk to him. Maybe having that conversation will lead me to meeting someone else where there might be an opportunity where it makes sense for me, where it fits. But Brian and I hit it off really well. And we agreed that I would work for him, learning what he was doing on the side, because I had a non-compete with the bank. So I couldn't even accept, being paid doing anything else. And at the time he couldn't afford to pay me anyway. So it worked out really well. And we did that for about a year. And after that year, I decided it's time to take the jump. So I talked to my husband, and we just decided, you know what, I'm going to do this for a year. My gut is telling me it's time to make a change. And if after a year I'm still not making any money, then I'll go back into the banking field. And that was 2016.
That's amazing.
And here
Well,
we
yeah, I'm so glad you followed your intuition, and you've been putting all your energy and passion into creating Keto Con, and so thankful that you could be here again with us, and look forward to following all the updates on all the fun activities we can expect at Keto Con next year.
But for all of your support, for always being there at Keto Con, for speaking at Keto Con, for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. It's been invaluable to us, and I really appreciate everything you do.
Thank you, Robin. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in to today's special bonus episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you are interested in kicking off January 2020 with a bang, check out the Ketogenic Girl Challenge. It is my meal plan and coaching program. It comes with all the meal plans. It is the most successful fat loss and weight loss program that I have ever created. And it also comes with my coaching and support in our Facebook group. So if you are brand new to keto, or you've been doing it for a while and you're just not seeing the results that you want to see, I lost all my weight doing keto diet and eventually went over to more of a keto carnivore approach for maintenance. But for someone who's interested in weight loss and getting those results, the 20-day Ketogenic Girl Challenge is amazing for it, and it has been so successful for hundreds and many hundreds of people who've done the program. We've had over 6,000 people do the program, and so many achieved positive results that they didn't get doing keto on their own. So I would love for you to check it out. It makes a great Christmas gift for someone that you know, if you're planning on doing keto together, or a special Christmas gift for yourself to kick off the new year 2020 with a brand new you. So check it out at ketogenicgirl.com. And until the next episode, wishing you a fat-filled weekend. A few disclaimers. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice, as I am not a qualified healthcare provider. The information presented on this podcast is for educational purposes only. Ketogenic Girl is not qualified to provide medical advice. Consult your own physician for any medical issues that you may be having. This entire disclaimer also applies to any guests or contributors to this podcast. Prior to beginning a ketogenic diet, you should undergo a full health screening with your physician to confirm that a keto diet is suitable for you, and to rule out any conditions or contraindications that may pose risks or that are incompatible with a ketogenic diet. A keto diet may or may not be appropriate for you if you have any kind of health condition, whether known to you or unknown, so you must consult your physician to find this out. Anyone under the age of 18 should consult with their physician and their parents or legal guardian.